Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are kicking off season 3 of Wrestler Weekly Conversations. We're so glad to have you back. We are here in 2022. It is a brand new year, and we have a guest today. We couldn't think of a better guest to start this season. We wanted to start with a bang. And boy, have we gotten the top dog here. So again, this is Mike with Wrestler Weekly. You can follow us on all our social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Wrestler Weekly. And you're going to hear about some other great places where you can find our guest. He is the proprietor, the head trainer, the man behind the Universal Wrestling College. You're going to get some more information on that in the episode. He is the man, the legend that you will see and be able to play as in the Retromania arcade and console game, which is available now via PS4, Xbox, on multiple consoles and arcade. And also, too, the man recently announced for the Phil Singer Games Legends of Memphis card game. So, ladies and gentlemen, the hero, the universal heartthrob, Mr. Austin Idol. Austin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, Mike. Mike, did you say the zero?
No, the hero, and that's going to start us off with a bang, Austin, because my favorite Austin Idol promo, and I've had this for years, and I'm so glad I get to tell you this. I told Scottie. It was in 1980 in Georgia. You had just won the Georgia Heavyweight Championship off of Tommy Rich. You had collected the bounty from Harley Race on Tommy Rich, and you came out and you said, Tommy Rich is the zero, and Austin Idol is the hero.
Well, there you go. I guess something finally stuck with somebody. Finally. I knew there had to be that one person out there remembered something. So, hey, there you go. There you go, Mike. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on. For those of you who don't know, Austin has been a great friend of Wrestler Weekly, and we're just so happy to have him on. And really a great thing that we love, because we love seeing the past of wrestling celebrated. But you're not just the past of wrestling, Austin Idol. You are the present and the future. Tell us about what you're doing right now in the NWA. You are the manager currently of the NWA World's Television Champion in Tyrus. We are getting to see your promos. We are getting to see you on commentary. What are the wrestling fans enjoying today about Austin Idol with the NWA?
Well, I think it's, not just so much me, but the NWA is just, it's an incredible wrestling promotion. And I kind of want to say a little bit old school, but really it's not so much old school. It's just what wrestling should be. It was, and it kind of faded away a little bit, a lot of it. But now with the NWA, Billy Corgan, William Patrick Corgan, he's brought it back to where it used to be, and it really is a very physical promotion. If anybody has not watched the NWA, it's so easy to do. You just go to the Fight network, Fight TV, and you download it. It's free, FITE. It's free. It's the largest sports streaming platform in the world. And then you just do the search NWA and you subscribe to NWA. It's $4.99 a month. You can cancel any time you want to, but once you see one episode, you're not going to cancel. You're going to stay the course. And I've got Tyrus. I manage him in a lot of different ways. Yeah, it's not just in the ring, but in a lot of different ways. And we have a tremendous relationship. And Tyrus is he's the big thing. Literally the big thing for late night television.
Yes.
On the Gutfeld show on Fox. So this guy has got it going on, and we have a great relationship. He's a great guy. He's a monster. I call him a manster, half man, half monster, manster. 6'7", 375, can do whatever he wants to, whenever he wants to. He does have that big belt. I'm associated with big time there under the NWA umbrella. I mean, I've got Tyrus, obviously, Clearwater. Have you seen Clearwater?
Clearwater's great. Yeah.
I love Jordan Clearwater. This guy, he's got it. I mean, he's going to be a big star. Have you seen G's, Black G's?
Yes. Money? Yes. An excellent. Excellent. It's been many years on the independent circuit. Good to see him getting an opportunity here with the NWA.
He's very smart. Very, very, very smart guy. So, a lot going on, man. I'm thrilled to death to be there, and looking forward to the future. And the future is looking incredibly bright for the NWA. I see some major things happening with this promotion. Yeah, not too far away, not too distant.
Oh, I agree with you. And, one of the things that really stuck out to me recently was not just the quality of the matches. You guys just had a extended run in St. Louis at the Chase. What was it like to be in that venue, such a historic venue? And you've wrestled in so many of the great venues, Mid-South Coliseum, the Omni, so many more. But what was it like to be back at the Chase?
Chase was great. I mean, that whole environment, the atmosphere of the crowd, they were just electric. Golly, Mickey James was there with Empower with the ladies who were unbelievable.
Great wrestling.
Oh my gosh! I mean, you talk about some talented women that are so smart and so athletic. And I watched that entire pay-per-view, and it was just electric. It really was electric. So you had a couple of pay-per-views there, and then all the tapings, and it was St. Louis, it was the Chase. So it was magical. I mean, it was the moon and the stars. They really lined up for that. It was a big thrill for everybody. And the fans, right? The fans are in St. Louis. I think it was the first time they had wrestling at the Chase. I think it was 37 years. You probably
I think that's because the last wrestling there that I remember was right at the beginning of the WWF expansion when they took over that broadcast. So I'm thinking, 1984, maybe 85, the last time. So I think that's accurate.
Yeah, it was tremendous. It was absolutely tremendous. Hopefully we'll get an opportunity to get back there sometime.
Absolutely. One of the first memories I have of you, Austin, I got very much into wrestling tapes as a child, anything I can get my hand on. And one of the first tapes I owned, and I want to say this is probably about 1987, was the Wrestling Gold videotapes. And there's a match on series 1 of that, and it is Jerry the King Lawler and the Universal Heartthrob Austin Idol battling the Road Warriors for the national tag team titles. And I know you guys had a run with them, and they were still, that was really the beginning of their hot, run that lasted. What was it like to work with them at that time? And any memories from those matches?
Yeah, well, they were so huge and strong. They really, really were. And you're right. They were really just in the early stage of really becoming super popular. They weren't quite there, but they were closing in on it, and then the rest is history. So, but when they came into Memphis, and Laura and I were, we were pretty darn popular.
Yes,
especially as a team. That place was packed. It was absolutely raucous and crazy. It really was a very memorable night. And the Road Warriors were at the time, probably throughout, but they were so unorthodox. They were very unorthodox. And I think in ways that they never wrestled. Really, they never wrestled anybody like Lawler and myself before that had the ring psychology. Which psychology is critical in any industry. It really, really is. So I think it was a real eye opener for them. but they're physical guys. I mean, they're really physical guys. So yeah, it was great. Yeah, I think they came back another time or two, but each time they came back packed. And then Laura and I think we went to Cleveland and Baltimore with them, and that it didn't last very long. But I believe that was something that was political behind the scenes, because they could have taken that at the time. Really, they could have taken that all around the country, and we'd have just crushed it.
Oh, absolutely.
It could have gone everywhere.
Well, and I think too, what was unique about that is you had the Road Warriors facing a really tough test, and two battle-tested main event stars. And to so you kind of had this, and that to me is what's so great about wrestling. When you have that doubt, you're like, man, those guys are really dominant, but they've never been in there with anybody like Lawler and Idol, and that's what really stuck out. But yeah, obviously too, I would imagine with, you have multiple promoters working together. I'm sure that's not always the easiest thing to navigate because of who wants what and things of that nature.
Yeah, you just don't know what's going on behind in any industry, in the office, the administrative end. You just don't know. But regardless of the fact, it was cool for everybody. And it's hard to believe that neither one of them are with us anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's so hard to believe. I mean, both so young, and but man, did they leave a legacy, and I love that early, like I said, that early run where you really see them kind of working out what was going to be that success. But again, the crowds were always so hot. You and Jerry Lawler, a long history as partners and as rivals. And the big one that everybody talks about is the cage match, with the hair match. And, but before we jump into that, I remember one of the feuds that intrigued me, was you working with a very young, ravishing Rick Rude, coming into Memphis, and he was looking to stomp on the Universal Heartthrob. What are your memories of working with a young Rick Rude at that point in time?
Well, and a lot of people don't know this, but it's just true. I mean, I was there, and I think Rick Rude came in from maybe Louisiana.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, Louisiana. And, he wasn't, he was still cut up physically, but he wasn't as large as he became. And they had the pretty girl with him, Angel, maybe?
Yes, yeah, Angel, yeah.
Yeah, pretty girl. And when he came in, I mean, I know for a fact the promotion was not really going to highlight him or focus on him at all. They were not going to do it. And he was going to get lost in the shuffle. But when I saw him and I saw the girl, I mean, I immediately thought, well, heck, man, I think this is something that can go places.
Mm.
Yeah, so I really was the guy who said, look, I want to wrestle this guy. Let me see what happens. And we ended up having a pretty successful run together. And he was pretty green.
Yeah.
He was pretty green.
Yeah.
It turned out good.
Yeah, because he seemed to develop very quickly after that. Really became a featured player with Jimmy Hart and Bundy and, a couple of the other guys. But I always thought that was such a great natural rivalry, was you and Rude. And I could remember, Rude coming out with the bow tie and the muscles and Austin Idol kind of saying, hey man, not in my house. It
was really interesting, and a lot of things took place there. You probably would not see something like that now. Well, I take that back. In the NWA, you could see something like that, but other promotions now, I mean, they stopped investing. They stopped investing in people in a sense, just kind of milking something, and that event with the Rude thing. I mean, I slapped him, if you recall.
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I slapped him hard, really hard. And, he wanted me to apologize. I wasn't going to do it. He sent the girl out with a little hand note, and all I had to do was sign it. I tore it up, put it back in her hand. And I couldn't, I'd love to be able to find this somewhere, Mike, but if you remember, at one point she came out, whatever, and do you remember where I kissed her on TV? Did you see that?
That's a great one, yes.
You saw that, right?
Yeah, I think I've seen that clip. I remember the slap. I know I remember the slap. I've definitely seen that.
You probably didn't see the kiss, because after I wouldn't sign the thing, finally, I think she came out another week or two later to try to get me to do something. And I'm there with Lance Russell, and I grab her, right? I grab her, of course, gently. I grab her and I kiss her. I mean, right on the mouth. And she starts to push me back with her hands, right? On my shoulders, like to push back. But then she slowly puts her arms around me.
Yeah.
And then, Rick, we're at that point. I mean, it's all money now.
Oh, yeah. And
yeah.
Well, and you.
I stole this girl.
Yeah. Well, you're living up to that moniker, the universal heartthrob. Well, and you made such a great point too about, promotions today not making that investment. And we, I say this often, especially when it comes to WWE, WWE has become the star attraction, not the talent, not the wrestlers. They have great wrestlers, but it's not wrestling that they're reaching for anymore. That's not the audience they're trying to hit. And I think that that's such a detriment because, when you talk, especially some of these territories, when I talk Memphis, I can't not bring up Jerry Lawler, Austin Idol, the Fabulous Ones. You know what I mean? The stars stood out. They were purposely made to be the stars. It wasn't that Memphis was the star. It was the stars of Memphis. And that's something that fans are still celebrating today because, and I'm going to hold up the sticker here and the card here. Hopefully you guys can see. It's not coming up great on the screen, but the Iron Mike McCord and Austin Idol game cards for Phil Singer Games are doing a Best of Memphis wrestling set. And then also too, Austin, you're involved with the Retromania video game where fans today can play as the universal heartthrob. What does it mean to you to know that there's still so many fans out there that are playing these games and specifically because they want to play as Austin Idol?
Well, it's great. I mean, it really is great. I mean, nostalgia will never go away, but you're also making new fans,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, for example, Retromania Wrestling, it's an absolutely incredible game. It really is incredible. And I would, anybody out there, whether you're even into gaming videos, it's something you want to download this thing. You really want to do. You want to play it, and like you mentioned at the top, you can play it on practically any platform now. I mean, but it's so much fun. I think their roster, I think they have 16 people in their roster.
Yeah.
I believe that's the number. But I mean, the Road Warriors are in it, myself, Nick Aldis is in it, Blue World Order, I mean, gosh, so many guys that are in it, and the way that the animation behind this thing is just so crazy fun. I mean, it's really a lot of fun. Matter of fact, my wrestling college, my ring is in there.
Yes, I've seen that.
How cool, right?
Very cool. And I'm sure too, it's great to put that out there because the Universal Wrestling College, what I love about this too, is that this is more than just your typical wrestling school. Why don't you tell folks a little bit about the Universal Wrestling College, what they'll experience for any folks who want to get into professional wrestling?
Well, it's from A to Z. It really is, because I've basically done it all, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, I really have. So, I mean, I coach and train and teach, just about anything you'd want to know about professional wrestling, and honing in, focusing on injury prevention. I mean, I don't teach high flying, acrobatic. I mean, I never did that, and Jerry Lawler. I mean, a lengthy list. They didn't have to do that to be box office attractions. They didn't have to do that. So that's not something that I teach. But what I do teach is how to wrestle, which is critical, how to make a promo. You have to be able to be great on the mic.
Yes.
I don't care if you're selling cars or whatever you're selling, but you have to be great on the mic to be able to grab someone's interest. I want to watch that. I want to see that. I want to buy a ticket to that, whatever the case may be. So injury prevention is a big deal, and lifestyle skills is a huge deal to me. And the guys, the people that do sign up and join, and they come in, they're on board, they know I run a really clean operation, Mike. I mean, there's no language, there's no F-bombs, it's like a classy situation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this is somewhere where you probably, if you had a wayward son or daughter, honestly, that just needed to be someone else. Sometimes the kids will listen to a third party before they listen to the parents.
Absolutely.
Really. So when they come to me, I have an orientation, and I lay it out to them. So look, here's the not the do's, it's the don'ts. I'll tell you all about the do's. I'll show you the do's, but here are the don'ts. Not acceptable. And it's a clean operation, and I've got great kids. They have a lot of passion, and they want it. They want to get there. And whether you want to be a manager, a wrestler, a commentator, a ring announcer, you name it. Maybe you just really don't want to be any of those, but you have this IQ, that you're great imagination, and that's great.
That's wonderful.
You got to be creative in this world.
Yeah, and it really sounds like, too, you're really not only setting them up to be successful wrestlers or whatever they want to do. It really sounds like with the lifestyle skills and the promos, it sounds like you're setting them up for longevity. Not just to be a wrestler, but to be successful and to live well and to be as healthy as possible, and save your money and, be able to really succeed in wrestling, but in life as well.
Yeah. And I tell them, listen, no matter how far you go, or maybe you don't go in wrestling, there's a world out there. And if you go to meet somebody who's the owner of a business, you've got to go in there and make a great impression the very first time. And you don't do it by going and say, "Hey, man," and drop an F-bomb.
Yeah.
I said, you have to learn how to communicate with people on all different levels.
Absolutely.
And by doing so, you're gonna open up some doors. People are gonna like you. Say, I like this kid. I like this guy. I like her. I like the way she carries herself. I like the way they talk. And the passion. So, it's a big world out there, and there's a tremendous amount of opportunity.
Yeah. Well, it really. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You have to know how to seize it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, it's not just being that pile of, well, this could have been, or untapped potential, right? And it really sounds like you guys are bringing that out. How can folks interested, Austin? How can they get in touch with the Universal Wrestling College? How can they apply? What's out there for them?
Okay, so they can go to our website, which is universalwrestlingcollege.com. universalwrestlingcollege.com. Everything is on that website. There's where you can, it says sign up. You just push sign up. You fill out the application, get the application, and get back to you, right? Also, it's on my wrestling website, austinidollive.com. You see it on there as well. But probably the easiest is universalwrestlingcollege.com.
Great.
But Mike, here's the thing too about wrestling, and I tell my people this: one of the great things about it is you don't have to be a rocket scientist to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
You don't. You don't have to be an educated person to make a lot of money. You really don't. I mean, I was working construction in Tampa, Florida.
Wow.
You know, so I mean, hey, and I have a lot of praise for the hard working construction people and anybody, any industry.
Yeah.
For the most part, but I'm not a college graduate.
Yeah.
No, I graduated from high school, worked hard. I got an opportunity to kind of break into the wrestling business at a different time, and it wasn't easy. I mean, it really was very, very difficult, but I stuck it out, and then just kind of, you grind your teeth and get your feet wet and work hard, and maybe eventually you get the lucky break.
And I think that's just such great wisdom. I too, very similar path, like did not graduate college, but was able to get into a field and do some good things. And so you're 100% right. Opportunities out there. And like you said earlier, I think it's up to folks to seize it. And you spoke about breaking in and your early days. And I recently too, and I'll have to try to send it to you, stumbled upon some footage of you in Australia, under Dennis McCord. The only footage I've ever seen pre-Austin Idol. I've seen some photos, but it was, I forget who, I think it was you and maybe Curtis Iakea, and I forget who you guys were wrestling, but what were your memories from Australia? Yes, that's it. Yes. So you're familiar with the footage. I just thought it was, here's this fresh, and you had some size on you. What was it like working in Australia there with Jim Barnett?
Well, it was amazing. Like I just mentioned that, you work hard and try to just keep improving, and maybe you get a lucky break. And Australia was my second break in the wrestling business, because I got out of torture camp, the snake pit in Tampa, Florida, for about a year of torture. Honestly, and that's another long story. And then went to Nashville, Tennessee. Nick Gouls was the promoter. I literally starved to death, and I had Jerry Briscoe's number, Jerry had given it to me the night before I left Tampa to go to Nashville, and said, hey, if you ever need anything, here's my number. After about 6 weeks of starving, I called Jerry, and I we didn't know each other, but Jack, what a blessing Jack was. Well, gosh, what an athlete. But Jack and I were friends, because he tortured me for a long time. But Jack respected me for not quitting and giving up.
Yeah.
And I called Jerry and said, Jerry, I'm starving to death. He was the champion in Charlotte for Jim Crockett. Right? Yeah. I said, can you get me in there? He said, let me talk to old man Crockett and I'll call you tomorrow, vice versa. So he said, okay, you're booked. He got me booked. And he said, come on, don't even give your notice. You can live with me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he said, just come live with me. Yeah, well, it's a blessing, right? It's a blessing. So I was making about $160 a week, starving. I go to Charlotte. Jerry lets me move in his really super nice apartment, a huge apartment. So we got my own bedroom, shower, and everything. And my first week in that territory, I got my check, and I opened it. It was in an envelope, and I opened it up, and it was like $440.
Wow,
that's a huge jump,
Oh yeah,
like 1972, 72.
Yeah,
440. Well, I was there a couple of weeks. 440, 450. It was a tag team territory at the time, and Nelson Royal and Klondike Bill were partners, and they were wrestling all over that territory against Ole and Gene Anderson. So they were very high on the card. It's not main event, semi-main event. Klondike Bill's father and mother became ill. He had to go back to Canada to be with the ailing parent. Behind closed doors, they elected me to take his place.
Oh, wonderful.
Because I was a big guy and Klondike was a big guy, right?
Yeah.
But I could wrestle a little bit, but I was green as grass. So anyway, I think Klondike's place would go all around the territory wrestling the Andersons, which was very educational for me. And Nelson Royal was great. You get your money, your check in an envelope, and I got it somewhere. I don't know, whatever town it was. And I'm thinking, well, if I can just make that 440, I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
So we passed out the checks, the envelopes. I go into a bathroom stall, Mike. I lock it, and I ease that thing out. I'm nervous. Yeah. I ease it out, and Mike, the check was like $780.
Oh, look at that.
I thought it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Really, I said, this is a mistake. Should I tell him about it?
Yeah.
I'm serious. And Nelson Royal asked me, he said, did you get your check? And I said, yeah. He said, what was it for? I said, like $780. I said, is that a mistake? And he says, no, that's what you made. I said, oh my God, I was ready to buy an island.
Yeah. You're like, I've made it. Yeah.
I'm rich, Mike, I'm rich. So I was there. They made me the rookie of the year.
Wow.
I'm going places, I'm learning, and then I get an opportunity to go to Australia. And the deal was they'll pay you $1,000 a week and pay your taxes.
Wow.
I said, man, I can't leave here. I'm going to do $1,000 a week. You fly everywhere.
Wow.
I took it.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm talking about going back to Lucky Breaks, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
so, yeah.
And that was a hot territory for a time in Australia. I got familiar with it a little bit more. I read Gary Hart's book, and he had talked about his extended time, working there in Australia and how hot it was for a time there, for a number of years.
And Gary's the one who got me booked there. That book was a little controversial. I know there's I know a few things, but I did not read the book, but I heard a few things were said about me. But that's okay. I don't care. I really don't care. You know what I mean? All I'll say about Gary is that he helped me. He's the one who approached me. He says, you know what? This Bulldog Brawler is a big deal in Australia. He went around the territory body slamming Haystack Calhoun. He's the strongest man in the world. Boy, if you guys collided, it could be huge.
Yeah.
Do you want to go? I said, well, he says, I can get you $1,000 a week. I said, if you can do that, Gary, I'll give Mr. Crockett my notice, which I did. And Gary was very, very smart, very smart.
Yeah.
Said, but when I got there, I'm a young punk kid still. Mark Lewin is the booker. He's the talent coordinator. He's a genius, a real genius. You hear that thrown around. This is a guy who's a brilliant. Mark Lewin was a genius.
Yeah.
So you had Mark. You had the influence of Gary. The talent was crazy good. It was the best territory I would say in the world at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you flew everywhere.
You were taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah, you flew everywhere. The cost of living was nothing. You're making $1,000 a week. You're saving money, and the talent's crazy good. And Jim Barnett was just easy as anybody could possibly be. I mean, no reason for him not to be.
Yeah,
he's got a territory that's on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Lucky break.
Yeah, and again too, you talk about the different experiences and what you're learning and getting that education. I'm sure that's invaluable.
As long as you pay attention, and pay attention. Kind of keep your mouth shut. Ask some questions, but look and listen, and watch, and remember. So I mean, I was around major international stars there.
Yeah.
I mean, they were big people, And
yeah.
When Barnett sold the territory, he sold it. He asked me to come back during the transition and asked me as a favor. And I said, of course. I said, sure, I'll do it. And but they brought in a bunch of people that you're not going to follow that kind of that roster. You're not going to follow it. And the people that were brought in, it just, I mean, territory died.
Yeah. Yeah.
Barnett gave me his number before he left. And he said, if you ever need anything, here's my number. I'll be at the Surfrider Hotel in Sydney. No, in Hawaii.
Wow.
Well, when I saw the territory die in 2 weeks, I called him. I said, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. He said, Mike, where do you want to go? Immediately, without hesitation, I said, New York. I'll call Vince.
Yeah. So
he called Vince. I got booked to New York.
So now you're in New York, and this was something else I had recently learned, was that you were managed by Lou Albano for a time up there. What was your experience like working with New York and Vince McMahon Sr.?
Priceless with Lou Albano. Priceless. You cannot buy that. I mean, Lou was a smart guy, very smart guy, and his promos, Mike, were unreal.
Yeah.
And really, that's where I would say I learned really how important it was to be able to make a great promo and just let it fly. You know, just let it fly. And so, I was with Lou about a year, and most of the time I'm standing beside him or behind him or whatever, and Lou's doing all the talking. So all I have to do is pay attention. And this guy was like a runaway train on his promos. I mean, they were hilarious, but yet they were serious too. You know? And when I saw, and listened to how Lou would make a promo, Mike, sometimes the last thing he would talk about was the opponent. Yeah. The map. He'd be all over the map.
Wow.
And I said, well, that's my kind of guy.
Yeah.
I can do that. I'm crazy enough and nuts enough. But it's just and gosh, I mean, it's like going to Harvard. I mean, really, that's Harvard. That's Harvard. You're phenomenal.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, it's so cool too to see those things. Like I always find I'm learning more and more, and doing research and looking up, here was this guy here. And, I know, a big part of your early years, were interrupted by the plane crash in Tampa. And, just to get through that as you guys did, and I know I've heard your account of it a couple of times. I've heard Gary Hart's account of it. But just to be able to get through what you guys did must have given you a new lease on life. That hey, we're able to go forward here and hopefully do something really special.
Well, yeah, I mean, it gives you a new lease on life because you should be dead, or you feel like, well, but you're not dead, so you're not dead for a reason. You're alive for a reason. What's the reason, you don't know, but you just hope that it'll be revealed at some point in time that you should have been dead. I mean, people don't survive that. You saw the photos of that plane, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And just too, right? You had broken your ankles at that point. And just the wherewithal to be able to get to shore, and I mean, incredible. I mean, what a miracle to be able to to do that.
Total miracle. Yeah, absolute miracle. And it's something you don't forget. You don't dwell on it for sure. But every day is like, every day is a holiday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every day is a blessing, Mike. You know what I mean? The thing about that is that prior to the crash, I was that probably typical long-range planner. Where am I going to be in 5, 10, 15 years, whatever. Well, after I recovered to whatever degree from that long-range planning went away. I said, forget about it. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Yeah. See, now you sound like you're from my neck of the woods here up in New York and New Jersey.
Forget about it. I was born in Brooklyn, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. No, that's cool.
Well, yeah.
I'm from Staten Island. I was born in Staten Island. My parents were born in Brooklyn.
Really?
Yeah. My parents.
We might be related.
Hey, if I was related to Austin Idol, that would be the coolest thing ever.
Or we're related to the Gambinos.
Or something. Yeah. He could be related to somebody. Yeah.
We won't talk about the Gambinos and the Lucianos.
No.
We won't talk about that. That's all fiction. It's not real. It never existed.
So Mike McCord from Brooklyn. So you eventually transition into Austin Idol. How does this transition happen? What's your inspiration? And how do you come up with the look, the everything? What was your inspiration behind making that transition into Austin Idol?
Okay, so I was Mike McCord during New York and some time in Atlanta. Remember, I was in Atlanta as Iron Mike, and then the plane crash, and then back to, after recovering from the plane crash, back to Atlanta. And then I was about 300 pounds, and then I got a blood clot, developed a blood clot, phlebitis. Phlebitis, blood clot in my lower left shin, and it sidelined me. It just scared me to death.
Of course.
I quit the business. Quit it. And I was a champion at the time, George heavyweight champion. And I said, hey, come pick up the belt. I'm done. And went home to Tampa. I had a little money saved, not a lot, but I had a little money saved, and decided, it's time to do what you knew you were going to have to do at some point, lose weight. So I decided to lose 100 pounds. That would take me from 300 to 200, but I had already mentally determined I'm through with wrestling. Plane crash, now blood clot. I'm done. I have to find something else to do. And I'm in Tampa, and I'm losing weight. I'm training hard. I'm losing weight, 2 pounds a week, 1 year, 2 pounds a week. Do the math, it's about 100 pounds. So I got down to about 225. I'd lost about 75 pounds, Mike. And you're checking yourself out, right? And I'm looking in the mirror. I'm training hard, like 6 days a week, and I'm looking in the mirror and say, this guy's looking pretty good. He's looking pretty good. Maybe I should think about going back to the wrestling business. But I'm not obviously not going to be Iron Mike McCord, because I'm not going to weigh 300 pounds. I have to figure something out. I'll just keep training, So finally I decided, well, I'm going to do my hair. I'm going to go ahead and do my hair blonde and come up with a name that's memorable. And at that time, back then, you didn't hear the first name Austin very often. It's kind of very novel. So I said, okay, Austin, I like that. And then I knew I needed a last name that would be very memorable, that I could tag a lot of things to. And said Idol. Austin Idol. It just kind of flows.
Yeah.
The Idol.
Yes.
The Idol. I can talk about the Idol. And then the Universal Heartthrob, Austin Idol. Now we're rolling. Now I'm rolling, now I'm getting into it, thinking, I think I've got something here that could, as long as I can get it done in the ring, and I'm going to have to be different. I'm not going to be that big, strong man anymore, but I'll figure that out.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. And my promos obviously make it very, very different.
Yeah.
So I'll get into that. And, women's pet, men's regret. Only one Caesar in Rome, only one Caesar in wrestling. I mean, on and on and on, I had so many different little cliches.
Yeah. But it worked. It worked, man. I tell you, because I remember those, you know what I mean? I could think back and I'm like, oh my gosh, and you had just such great cadence, the way you carried yourself in a promo. I mean, you talked people into the building, my man,
That's what Jimmy Cornette said,
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one Cornette is not thrown under the bus.
Yeah. Well,
and he won't do it. He can't do it.
No.
He can't do it. No, you know why he can't do it? Do you want to know why?
Yes.
And it's not blackmail, because when I was going in and out of Memphis and Valiant was there, Jimmy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Valiant and I would ride over from Louisville to Evansville, Indiana with Cornette, young Jimmy Cornette, who was selling programs and taking photos, and his mama would be driving the car. And Valiant and I were in the back. Young Cornette would hardly say anything. We would just listen to Valiant and I talking. And
that's awesome.
It was like, oh, it was great, man. It was great. And that went on for a while. So I go so far back with Jimmy.
Yeah.
And like Valiant, I'd say Valiant and I would probably be two of the very last people Cornette would ever say anything. We go back that far.
Yeah. And Cornette, to his credit, seems to have a lot of love for the guys when he started out, you yourself included, Lawler, Valiant, Dundee, all those guys from Memphis, Jimmy Hart, and he is a tremendous storyteller. I love when he talks the history of wrestling, and when he talks his experiences and different things like that. I mean, the guy is brilliant. I think, I think Jimmy's brilliant. But it's just so cool to see that love, and there's so much love for Memphis wrestling in general, and that was something you were a huge part of for a long time. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the Phil Singer game set that is specifically dedicated to Memphis, where I know your good buddy Travis Heckle has been a big part of helping put that together. When you see that love from Memphis, I mean, I've seen the fans of that game, and you did the Q&A with them and everything. What was it like to see that kind of excitement around some of the work that you've done with a territory that people remember so fondly to this day?
Well, it's just fantastic. I mean, it's amazing that when you're sometimes you're doing something, you're just doing it. You're working and you're working hard, and you want to be successful and help others succeed as well. But you don't know that you're necessarily or possibly making history. But in Memphis, the Memphis wrestling area, I mean, it is a historic wrestling territory.
Yeah.
It was so, I would say, outlandish.
But in a good way, you know what I mean? It worked. I mean, what Memphis did was they were ahead of their time with a lot of things.
Oh,
the gimmicks,
yes,
and
they were. Travis Heckle, I love Travis Heckle. He's a great guy. He's a dear friend, and just love him to death. I really do. He's a wonderful human being, and his family. So I've got just tons of love for Travis. He's just a super guy. I mean, artwork you've ever seen.
Oh, he is incredible. He's incredible. Yeah. I've gotten to know him a little bit through our mutual, connection with Phil Singer Games, and just a great guy. I know, he recently went through some things with his health, and glad that he is on the mend and getting better. But a great guy, and again, like, to me, he's like the top Memphis wrestling fan. Just the love that he has for it, and the memories that it created. And Austin, as a fan myself, and Scottie, that to us is why we do this. That to us is those memories that wrestling gave to us, these men and women that we looked up to, that we watched and said, man, larger than life. And you're very much a part of that. You have built such a loyal fan base over the years. And, I know for us, like I said, all these things, mean something to us. And, and so many guys that you could name, yourself, Bill Dundee, Bobby Eaton, who just recently passed away, the great Bobby Eaton, so many guys, Cornette, and another one, Tommy Rich, right? And that leads me to the infamous cage match Tommy Rich under the ring, Austin Idol and Tommy Rich and Paul E. dangerously shave the head of the king in Memphis. Boy, that must have been wild getting out of the arena that night.
Nobody saw that coming. Right?
I mean, still, it's still.
They knew I was going to get my head shaved. The wrestling fans, they knew it, didn't they?
Yep. Nobody saw, always got Idol in the cage and, and again, just the beauty of the history and Lawler and Dundee did this as well, right? Where partners for a while and then boom, they're at each other. And it just flowed. And you and Jerry had much the same thing. And I mean, and the Mid-South Coliseum was packed that night, that big cage that went around the ring. And again, a very young, early in his run, Paul E. I mean, incredible. It's still today. I mean, people talk about that match with such, and I do too, because it was such a major memory.
I would say, that's going to be a tough one to top.
Yeah.
I don't know how you top that. I mean, really, I don't know. I'm sure, there's so many big, events that happened before I ever got there, with the Fargo and,
yeah.
But, I don't know how you top the cage with Lawler getting his head shaved. I don't know how you top that.
No. And again, like you said, the idea of it, nobody expected Tommy Rich to be under the ring. You know what I mean? Because in a, you have this big cage, Idol can't get out, Paul E can't get in. And it's still, and it just goes to show you that simple and effective really works in professional wrestling. There was no smoke and mirrors. It was a simple, effective angle. And you watch it today and it just brings all those feelings back, and you're like, gosh, I hate this guy.
It's still good. Matter of fact, you've seen my website, Austin.
Yes, yes.
Right? I mean, it's featured right there.
Yeah.
I've got that match right there featured, and you look at it, and I don't look at it very often, but every once in a while, if I have a little dull moment, so I'll click on my website just to make sure it's still up and working.
Yeah.
And there it is. And when I see it, I'll go ahead and watch a little bit of it. And then when you watch it and you see the entire engagement and involvement of the fans and just everything, it's just a tremendous event, it was a mother getting out of there. I mean, I knew it, but I was the only one who knew it. And I told those guys, I told Paul and I told Tommy Rich, I said, guys, I'll tell you right now, when this match is over, when you get out, don't just walk, you better sprint.
Yeah.
Because you get knocked down, they're going to kick your brains out. You're going to die.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from a lot from up in New York. And
yeah.
I learned a lot. I said, no, you got to go. And I sprinted because I said, you know what? The coward that runs is to run another day. So,
exactly. Well, and it just adds to that whole presentation as well, Hey, we committed the deed. Now let's get the hell out of here.
Well, they're going to kill you if you don't.
Yeah.
You can get killed. I mean, you get knocked down.
Yeah.
If they're mad enough, and those people were mad enough.
Oh, yeah.
They'll kick your brains out.
Well, and I remember not long after that, right? Lawler does the pre-recorded promo from home. He comes back and dragged to the Memphis studio and beats the stew out of Tommy Rich. But again, right, that angle is really just the beginning. That's the appetizer. And again, but it's that stuff that brings people back and makes them go, man, I need to see Austin Idol get his what for, because you screwed over the king, and again, that to me is wrestling at its simplest and its best.
Yep. Pretty good stuff.
So really quickly, I know we're getting short on time here, but what I want to ask you about here is the great Lance Russell. You worked with Lance for many years. I did get to have a brief interaction with Lance in the last year of his life, and he was just such a gentleman and a kind human being. And what are your thoughts on the late great Lance Russell?
He was great. Yeah, he really was great. His style. I mean, you give me. See, I was around the Tampa, Florida area, so Gordon Soul.
Oh yeah.
Now Gordon, I'm just apples and oranges, right? Gordon was a real student of wrestling.
Yeah.
So, and because we had Eddie Graham, the way Eddie had his business model was to have a bunch of really very good amateurs, right?
Mm.
Very good amateurs. So with all these amateur wrestling moves, and Gordon knew these moves.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew what to call them. And so he was a student of amateur wrestling as well. So he could, when Gordon was doing commentating a match, I mean, he knew. I mean, a high Cornish hike.
Yeah.
You said Cornish hike today. If you said high Cornish hike today in professional wrestling, nobody would know.
No.
What it is. Not any of the wrestlers or the promoters. They would have no clue. They would think you're talking about a Cornish game hand.
Yeah.
Cornish hand. Well, Cornish hike. What is that? Is that like a game? They would know. A salto. They don't know what a salto is. Matter of fact, I used the word salto on when I was doing commentary because I do a lot of commentary in NWA. I used the word salto just recently, and they looked at me like, "What is that? Is that a dance? Salsa?" So they didn't know. But so Gordon was a student of the game. Lance was the guy next door.
Mm.
That you would talk to when you're outside in your yard, and there's Lance, and he gave you that feeling of just, hey, buddy, and hey, that comfortable, warm and cozy, cuddly guy.
Yes.
And it was just really he didn't make you, but you just had to like him.
Oh yeah.
You had to like Lance, and the way he did his business, it was seamless, and it was like the guy talking to. He wouldn't even talk to the wrestlers.
Yeah,
almost talk to them like they were friends.
Yeah.
Now, of course, with him and Lawler and somebody, and so my little relationship, my on-camera relationship with Lance was a little bit more friendly when I kind of became more like a fan favorite. But prior to that, no, but no way. I'm not going to. No, I'm not going to be your cuddly. No. Here, Lance, my Tommy. Oh, come on, Tommy.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Tommy.
Yeah, like he was disappointed, like in his children. Yeah.
Exactly. No, come on, Tommy. Exactly. Well, Gordon Sully would never say something like
that. No.
But they were both great. Right?
Yeah, they were both great in their own right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and but as a person too.
Yeah.
Lance was just amazing. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to really spend that kind of time around him because I was kind of going in and out of Memphis all those years, for the most part. But he was a real pleasure. Yeah,
he just. Hello everybody, Lance Russell, Dave Brown.
Exactly.
And it was just like you were home, and those are some of. It's so funny too. When I got married, I was watching a lot of Memphis at that time, early '80s. I want to say around 1980. And, it was one of the things my wife bought me, like this tablet here so you can watch your Memphis wrestling, and, but it was, you know what I mean? But it was just, it brought back those memories and those things. And, just really, really great stuff. And again, like we mentioned before, when you have these folks that you come alongside and you see them, folks like Austin Idol, who made you feel something, And good wrestling should make you feel something. It's just a pleasure to be able to not just celebrate their careers and what they've done then, but what they're doing now. As we mentioned earlier, AustinIdolLive.com, or you can find him on social media at AustinIdolLive. The Retromania wrestling game you can get on multiple platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, online as well, the arcade version. Also to the Universal Wrestling College. You want to be a real professional wrestler, this is where you got to go. This is where you're going to get the education. Whatever role you want to be in wrestling, whether it be a wrestler, a manager, a referee, an announcer, doesn't matter. You're going to get not only the wrestling prowess and true pro wrestling, but you're going to get lifestyle skills. You're going to get to really realize the potential you want to have in your life, no matter what walk of life you want to go into. So we can't thank the great Austin Idol enough. And this is just the season premiere, folks, the season premiere. So just wait for the great guests that we have here. Bob Smith of the Pro Wrestling Spotlight podcast, John Arezzi, former NWA World Champion Nick Aldis, who will be our season finale. Mad Maxine, remember Mad Maxine? She'll be joining the show as well. So we have a great season for you. Thank you so much for following us. Don't forget, at Wrestler Weekly, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also get the book, Family Bacon Wrestling, by the CEO himself, Scottie Richardson. But thank you guys for joining us. We hope that this is just the beginning of some great things ahead of us. And thank you again for watching. Have a great one.